So tonight what we'll do is I'm going to share my screen. We'll kind of go through a cool little presentation. We're going to break things down for you and show you how you can buy an apartment building. Let's call it a 10 to 30, 40 unit building, anything under 50 units in the next 90 days with as little as 18, 20,000 bucks out of pocket. And I'm going to break that down for you. I'll also, even behind me, if you guys have Q&A, we'll jump on the vibe board and I'll break some stuff down for you as well. Get as granular as I can. I want to try and keep it as high level. That way, don't get into the weeds too crazy tonight, but also give you concept of how you can actually do this and why multifamily over any other type of investment strategy, whether it's single family flipping, wholesaling. I mean, we see Airbnbs, all the different strategies in real estate. Why is multifamily so coveted, and why do people then also have limiting belief systems? I call it the false belief patterns that keep them out of it. They keep them out of it. Kept me out of it for years. Because I just didn't know. I thought hey, I need a ton of capital to get started. That was number one, false belief. Number two, it's only for experts. And you have to be an expert in order to get involved with it because it's too complicated. And then the last kind of false belief is that deals are too hard to find. And the market's too saturated. So therefore, their deals are too hard to find. The good deals are not there and available online. And we'll get through that as well. So we'll go through it all. So how to buy an apartment building in the next 90 days and to do it with as little out-of-pocket capital as you can. So really my main promise to you tonight is just that. How to buy a 10 to 30 unit apartment deal in 90 days with 20,000 bucks out of pocket. How can you do that? Would that be worth it to you? If you could learn that just tonight, would that be worth it to you? Or are you tired of your current situation? You need help? You want to level up? The multifamily is a way to do it. You just don't know how to get started. That's option A. Or maybe you're just curious about multifamily, don't really know what you want yet. And then the last one being, I make decent money with my job, but I want to do more. I want more time with family, friends. I want generational wealth, the financial freedom, all those things that you hear. But I'm curious as to the main reason you personally are here tonight, because there's usually a big why, right? Maybe you're in a 9 to 5 and you're doing quite well and you make good money, but you want more. Maybe you're a real estate agent, right? Maybe you're a real estate agent and you're tired of the transactional hamster wheel and you want to level up. Maybe you're in wholesaling, flipping houses, other types of real estate investing, and you're saying, hey, I hear so much about multifamily. I have all these limiting beliefs, false belief patterns that I shared earlier, and we're going to go through tonight. So disclaimer, just so everybody knows, you're not getting rich quick, okay? You're not going to automatically become a multimillionaire by getting one apartment building, but you are setting yourself up for the future you and for your family in this financial freedom game. In 2008, just so everybody knows a little bit about my background, 2008, I got started and I was just trying to survive the financial crisis and helping my dad out, who got hammered and had a massive bankruptcy in the midst of the financial crisis in 2008 through 2010. But I did know that I wanted to be a millionaire. And so like anybody does, if you're just thinking about what does it take to be a millionaire? Well, $1 million, $2,379 a day is what it takes. And currently today, just as we speak right now here in 2025, just under 1,000 units and $180+ million in multifamily assets in 5 states around the US. That's currently where we're at today. But it didn't start there. It didn't start there. It literally started with one condo. And so for everybody that's kind of here and you're not quite sure where to start, it can start with one property. I mean, literally in 2010, started about a year earlier than that. I was at a conference and heard somebody speak. And then when they came out, they said, who here would like to own rental income property? Of course, everybody's hands went up. They're all cheering. And then they said, well, who here financially right now can afford rental income property? And about 90% of the hands go down because everybody's getting clobbered in the midst of the financial crisis. He says, here's the secret you're missing. He says, you don't need to have a single dime to own rental income property. He says, you just need to have a friend that has money to own rental income property. He says, because of you, and most of these people in the audience were realtors, like I was, you have a license. You're extremely valuable. You can find deals. You can analyze them. You can put them together. You can structure them. You can manage them. You can run them. You can run all the operations. You can do everything. You're extremely valuable to somebody with money. So you just need to go find a friend that has money to invest in rental income property if you don't have it right now. And then you guys can form partnership and away you go. And that literally started our company. Literally. So then a year later, came across a condo, 2010, bought the thing for $100,000, put $25,000 down, a $75,000 loan. That thing was cash flowing beautifully. But that's how it started. And then from there, right, from there, it went into bigger stuff, but had to go through this first. This was the financial crisis. There were stories written about it, AP News, Yahoo Finance, handful of other ones, Business Insider, all about my dad and the massive bankruptcy that he went through in 2008 and 2009. Crazy times. I learned a lot. Learned, I didn't file bankruptcy, but I watched my dad do it, and it was massive. And how over leveraging and not staying into the cash flow game and just getting into the build sell. Like, he was really good at making a lot of money. He was also really good at losing money. So, but not in the sense that like he was reckless, just in the sense that he didn't know what he didn't know. And he would get himself into the build sell game. You develop and build things and sell them, develop and build things and sell them. And that was very, very good. Made a ton of money, but also was very susceptible to market cycles. And he made it through 3 of them. And then the 4th one was the financial crisis of 2008 through 10. And it was too violent. It's too fast, too violent, took him out. And he never fully recovered from it. I mean, started doing some flips and stuff and did well with that, but never fully recovered at the level he was at, because he was that transitional character in our family. You were an appraiser, Coop. I saw in the comments there. Appraiser, they gave me the advantage. Yeah, that's fair. Very, very true on that. So you're kind of going through these different cycles. So kind of walking through this, 2008 collapse, right? 2008 to 2010, I became an asset manager for a lot of the major banks. So all the movies and stuff you see on TV of all the foreclosures happening, going back to the banks, and then inside the bank, they have these little asset manager guys sitting behind computers. I ended up being one of those dudes for 2 years and managing 300-400 assets at a time around the United States, and then divvying them out to all the realtors and going through the eviction process, cash for keys, all that stuff. It was a complete shit show. Complete shit show. But I learned so much. I mean, think about that, having to manage all of that chaos and walking through, and more importantly, seeing how the banks and how irrational they were at that time. Learned a ton. So I was playing the other side of the coin during the financial crisis. And then fast forward, I had my real estate broker's license, and I saw things changing where I could come out and help a lot of people as doing short sales and helping homeowners get through tough times financially. And I did that for a couple of years, and then it transitioned into traditional real estate that we know today. And going through that, that's when we started buying properties. That's our first condo. And then we got into duplexes and quads and triplexes and all these other properties, until we got to a certain point where we had like a little portfolio, right? We had about 20, 25 units, about $3.5 million of assets, but we knew we wanted to go bigger, right? We knew we wanted more, and we wanted to scale and grow. We just didn't know where to go. I didn't understand OPM, other people's money. I didn't understand this term syndicating, if you've ever heard that term thrown out, syndicating. Never understood any of that stuff. So I had to learn it. I mean, no different than anybody in here tonight. You may not even know it or know what it means, but I had to learn it because I knew we wanted to go bigger, and we were running out of our own money. And that's where this comes in. So I did want to, hold on, before I show you that, because this is actually really funny. So to touch on this, just so you know, my realtor days that I talked about and all the little bloopers and all the crap you can go through, this is one example of one. Let me show you this.
Family home in North Pacific Beach at a fantastic value. Do that again. Good. Check. Is the thing in check or in check? Hi, this is Justin Brennan with no HOAs. You're in between Pacific Beach and La Jolla. It's a good family home. Good location, great neighborhood, and that's it, man. That's pretty much it. Hit the message me button below, and I'll get right back to you.
Any other final things you want to throw in there?
I'm sweating like a dog right now.
Wow. This brings back memories. That was like 2013-ish, you know, back in my realtor heydays. Billy, you said you need to do a purchase and rehab on a 30-unit apartment building. You need to syndicate it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Have you ever done it before, or do you have it under contract? Chime in the chat. So moving on, 1 unit, 2010, $100,000. 2018, right? 8 years later, we had 20 units and $3.5 million. So we got a little portfolio going. And maybe some of you in here tonight have a few rental properties, and you're like, okay, yeah, but we're running out of our own money. I need capital. I need to be able to scale money. How do I play this game of other people's money and raise money, learn about money. How do I attract investors? How do I do this stuff and get to the next stage of scaling into multifamily? How do I do it? No, you haven't. Okay, beautiful. Purchase and rehab of a 20 unit. Do you have that under contract, William and Billy? Or are you guys just looking at deals? Do you have it under contract, or are you just talking about deals? Just curious. Just curious. So from 2010 to 2018, 20 units. So now we're at this point where we're running out of our own money, but we want to scale and grow. So this is where it goes. So from 2018, 20 units and 3.5 million, how did we get to where we're at today of nearly 1,000 units and 180 million? Because that's a short window, right? About 4 or 5 years, we went from that to where we're at today. And how did we pull that off when we literally ran out of our own money, but had to scale money? We took equity out of those deals, those 20 units, took some of that equity. And by leveraging our money with OPM, other people's money, we were able to scale into more apartment buildings. Because here's the lesson everybody needs to understand. Everybody, which is why you're on here tonight, everybody wants to invest in real estate. That's not your problem. You just need a deal that makes financial sense, okay? You need a pitch deck to help explain what they get when they invest with you. And you need a process to actually bring it in when somebody says, hi, I'm interested. That's the 3 things you need to raise money. A deal drives the money. If you have a great deal, the money will chase it. Always has, always will. Because everybody needs to invest in real estate. And then they need to like you and trust you, right? So the process and the pitch deck and all that stuff. But we'll go through that briefly here tonight. Don't know if I can get the money, so I have not put it under contract. Bill, William. This is the fault. You worry about the money. You don't worry about the money first. The money will find you. If the deal makes financial sense, the money will find you. Okay, you need leverage. The leverage is the deal. The deal is the driver. It's like a target. It's like a big magnet. If the deal makes financial sense, the money will find you. But we're going to break a deal down tonight. I'm going to show you how this works, okay? But it starts with the mindset, right? It starts with your mindset. And that's how you get there. So this is the critical thing for everybody here tonight, because everybody gets through some of these limiting belief patterns. You need a bunch of money, or I don't have money. I don't know how to raise money, right? False belief pattern number 1. False belief pattern number 2 is that you need to be an expert. We're going to spell that tonight. Number 3 is that deals are hard to find, oversaturated, hard to find good deals. We're going to dispatch that tonight too and show you how to find good deals. Okay, so here we go. So number 1, how can you buy a 10 to 30 unit apartment building in the next 90 days with $20,000 out of pocket? Well, we got to get through these patterns we talked about. Okay, number 1, you need a lot of money to get started. No, you don't. Belief pattern number 2, multifamily is too complex and it's for experts only. No, it's not. Number 3, deals are hard to find and the market is oversaturated. We need to go through and we need to dispel each of these, and we need to show you why they're not true. Why they're not true. Okay, let's start with number 1. The belief pattern that you need a lot of money. So William, Bill, let's break this down and show you. Let's take your 10 unit, 30 unit, 20 unit you're talking about. Let's presume for a minute it's $1.5 million to buy it. Let's presume you're going to renovate the property with $100,000 to improve the property and renovate it. Let's also think you have $50,000 in closing costs. That's what CC stands for. So your total all-in cost is $1,650,000 on this deal. And let's presume it's a 10-unit deal. Okay, $150,000 per unit. You're going to go out and get a loan for $1,150,000. That's 70% loan to cost. Getting that loan is easier than getting a $200,000 house loan. Okay, the apartment building is its own operating business. And because it's its own operating business, it has revenue, expenses, and a profit, i.e. cash flow. So all the bank cares about, 90% of what the bank cares about is, can the property substantiate paying me my loan payment every month? Yes or no? If it can, they throw the money out the front window to you. If it cannot, they won't give you the money. When you go buy a house, because there's not the revenue and the business built into a home, they're underwriting you personally. This is why they dissect you inside and out. They want every single document from here to the moon, and then they still won't give you the money, right? We've all tried applying for a house loan, but because that you're dealing with different types of loans, right? When you're doing commercial multifamily, it's its own business. So as long as the property operates and provides enough revenue, the money will come. So that's your loan. Now the equity, that's the down payment. So in this case, if we get $1.1 million loan, We have $500,000 in down payment we have to bring to the table. Now, this is what stops most people. This is probably what stopped you, Will and Bill. You're thinking, I need $500,000. I don't have it. I can't get access to it. How do I start? Where do I go? What do I do? Oh, it takes too much money. Let's just don't do it until I have the money. Once I have the money, I'll go find a deal. No, 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 no. If the deal makes financial sense, the money will find it. Here's how it works out. You're going to bring in 10% of that money, about 50 grand. The rest of it's OPM, other people's money. Now, other people's money means a lot of things. It could be friends and family. It could be people you don't know. It could be seller financing. The seller could help finance your deal. It could be people in communities, even our community, that are partnering and doing deals together. All the above, bringing in capital, raising money, all the above, OPM. So it comes down to how do you bring that together? And that's what we're going to show you. Now, here's the cool thing when you do this type of syndicating, as we're talking about, okay? Here's the cool thing. So when you do this type of a deal and you're putting it together, you get what's called an acquisition fee, okay? So you're bringing in 10% of the money. You're getting 40% of the deal. You're getting 4X. Think about it. 10% of the money, you get 40% of the deal. And then on top of that, you're going to get an acquisition fee at the close of escrow for putting it all together, typically 2 to 3% of the purchase price. So in the case of this, let's use 2%, the low end. That's 30 grand. 30 grand. So you came out of pocket 50 to put into the deal. Okay, 50 grand. I'm getting $30,000 when I close the escrow. So how much am I actually out of pocket? Chime in the chat. How much you physically out of pocket? 50 came out, 30 came back. 50 went out, 30 came back. 20K. So I want you to put this in perspective for a minute. For $20,000 out of your bank account, you have control and ownership of a 10-unit, $1.5 million apartment complex. Where else are you going to be able to pull that one off? You're not. This is why this game gets so fun. It's understanding the game of money, the game of leverage, and the game of OPM. Right? It's a game of OPM. Is this GP or LP? You're the general partner. Your limited partners would be your OPM, other people's money. Those are your limited partners. Correct. Should OPM be 450 versus 495? I kept it. Yes, it should. That's actually a mismatch on that. So great catch. Thank you. We'll update that. Great catch. Tony Shablashli. That's an Italian name for sure. It's got to be. $20,000. Yes. How soon do I have to pay back the investors? As soon as there's cash flow. So in your legal documents, it's going to stipulate how what they call a waterfall breaks down. But keep in mind, you're also an investor in your own deal. So you're paying yourself at the same time you're paying your investors. So everybody's getting paid what they call pari passu. Okay. But as soon as there's free cash flow from the property, you're paying your investors and you pay you too. How are you getting the 30K? It's built into the closing cost. So that closing cost of 50K, inside of that 50K is 30K in your closing cost. So, or not, yeah, the 30K is built into your closing cost. The total cost of the deal, it's built into that. It's built into that. Great questions. All right, let me move on. So, dispelling that, okay? So let's go through that. So you're 20K out of pocket, right? So the belief that you need a lot of money to get started, if you found a 20 unit, let me ask everybody in this room tonight, right, this webinar, if you found a 20 unit that made financial sense in the next 90 days, could you get access to $20,000 to $50,000 to do a deal like this? Yes or no? So it's not about the money. So I want you to take it. I want you to chuck that idea out the window, because you're going to come in with $20,000 to $50,000, get 40% of the deal, get an acquisition fee, $30,000 comes back. Plus you're also getting paid multiple ways beyond that. So the belief that you need a lot of money, it just isn't true. You just need to have the skill sets to execute, the ability and the knowledge and the skill sets to execute. And that's what you learn. That's why people learn this stuff, because you have this skill set. If you learn this and how to maneuver through it, you're extremely valuable. You hold a skill set and a knowledge and ability to help a lot of people, because people want to invest in real estate all the time, all the time. Everybody, honestly, could you tell me anybody in here that you've run across in the last 5 years of your human existence, that if you brought them a deal financially that made sense in real estate, that they'd be like, I don't like real estate. Real estate sucks. Does anybody know anybody that thinks real estate sucks? I don't, right? It just comes down, does the deal make sense? Because I love real estate. I live in real estate. Think about it. You either rent or you own. You rent or you own. You live in real estate every day. You touch walls that are real estate. Everybody knows real estate, which is why they love it. It just comes down to finding deals that make sense and that everybody can invest in. And then do I like you and do I trust you to give you my money? Okay. Are these multi-units already tenant occupied? 100%, Janae. 100%. Yeah, these are existing buildings with existing cash flows that you're going to be buying, finding, operating, running, learning how to do. 100%. AJ Allen, I have many times ready to deploy, but I will only do it using extreme caution with leverage. Elaborate on that, AJ. I'm curious. I have many times that ready to deploy, but I will only do it using extreme caution. You mean paralysis by analysis? Yeah, sometimes we have to get out of our own way. You can do your calculated risk, not a problem. I'm not saying to be reckless. But once you've calculated all the calculations you can do, you got to get to the edge of the cliff, you got to jump. You need to let the house show up. Because the only thing separating people that make it big, right? All your friends, people that you know that have made it big, and people that have not, it sure as heck has nothing to do with skill sets and knowledge, because everybody has it. There's lots of books. People can get super smart, have all the intelligence. I mean, think about it, all the professors that are teaching in college, super smart, great with theory, good with books. Tell them to go execute. They don't know how to put the theory into reality. Because they're book smart, they're not street smart. Big difference. No meaning, I will only do it with LPs, not alone. Great, love it. Yes, and that's why you leverage this game, AJ. Yeah, that's why you do it with your money in conjunction with other people's money, because that's how you leverage capital. Because everybody wants to invest. That's the great point. That's what we had to do. That's what we had to learn. I love that. So I want the skill set of real estate investing to make bigger investments. Yep, Karen, it's exactly right. It's exactly right. Because you become extremely valuable. If you know how to do this, you are extremely valuable to someone with money. Because there are a lot of people out there that don't want to do this. They would just rather give their money to someone they like and trust, and then trust that that's going to be run and operated. And they just want to collect a check. Hence the reason mailbox money. There's people that are too busy doing other things in life that they don't want to do this game. Not a problem. But that's why it's extremely valuable when you do. No different than not everybody wants to be a brain surgeon. But somebody who's willing to take the time and learn it and get into it and make it happen, what does a brain surgeon do? Solves big, big problems. Because he solves big, big problems, he makes a lot of money. No different than this. You're solving big, big problems here. If you want to make millions of dollars, go solve $1 million problems. If you want to make thousands of dollars, go make and solve $1,000 problems. That's what happens. The bigger problems you solve, the more money you make. You're solving big, big problems here for investors, for people who want to earn money on their money and move it, right? And make money on their money for their families and doing things. So what do investors require for a return on money invested? Typically north of 15% a year on their money, David, and that's considered a pretty good deal. Pretty good deal. We can jump into that briefly. Let's keep going. Okay. Belief number 2, it's too complex. It's too complex and it's for experts only. The multifamily is too complex and it's for experts only. Well, I'm going to dispel that because for everybody here, including all the people even in our community, multifamily schooled, normal people. Some people with 9-to-5s. Some people are other investors. Some people are real estate agents. They want to get out of the hamster wheel. Some people are doing wholesaling and flipping Airbnbs and they want to level up. Some people are getting paid well, right? I get a lot of people who are 9-to-5ers who are looking for another alternative. So at some point, they can exit their 9-to-5 and go all in on this. It just depends. But it's not too complex. You just have to learn it, okay? And you need to be, some people try and do it alone, not a problem. There's plenty of YouTube out there. You can watch tons of YouTube videos, and they're very good. They're very good. But at some point, it's not about the information. It's about what you do with it and how you act on it and how you take initiative. And sometimes having accountability, right, with the community and people, as long with people that can hold your hand, is how you get through it, right? That's how you move the needle for yourself. So that's a key component. I'll give you an example. We'll take ACUS, who I'm going to show you here in a minute. English is a second language for her. In the medical industry, Not in real estate at all. She came into this, had to learn it, but you can see what she did with it and how she made it happen. Super interesting how to make it happen. So the process, right? The process of doing this, it may seem intimidating at first, but it's really about following a step-by-step blueprint rather than knowing every intricate detail of all the finance and law. You need something that breaks it down every step into accountable, understandable, actionable steps, empowering you to navigate the market confidently, even if you're starting from scratch. It seems complicated and intimidating in the beginning, maybe like foreign language. At first. Okay. So here's ACUS, second language, medical field. This was her interpretation of it.
So as soon as I listened to the crash course, I got hooked. It was so funny because that one is a small course. Yeah. However, I think I shared with you before that one of the parts that I enjoy the most is that you simplify language for many of us, and English is my second language. So I really enjoy the way that you were teaching and
You're saying and being able to kind of explain the complex details and nuance in a layman's terms, simple format to where it actually resonates. Is that what I'm gathering?
Correct, because there is a lot of terminology out there for real estate that seems very intimidating, especially for those who are new to the real estate investment business. And you made it so easy and simplify it in a way that for me resonates. It reminded me a little bit of the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. It's like that.
I mean, I will take that compliment. Very good.
Can anybody relate to ACUS' story? You know, being maybe in a 9-to-5, a different profession, whether you're IT, you know, maybe you're an administrative person, you're in medical, maybe you're in another profession, C-suite person, and this seemed like a foreign language, both literally and figuratively, because a lot of people do that. And this is why it keeps them from getting started, because they think it's just too complex. It's for experts only. And that's just not the case. If you're willing to leap out and take a little bit of a leap of faith and get some of these things answered for you to where you feel comfortable, it's just having a process that's actionable, you can take action on. And so that's ACUS. So totally agree with that. So what I thought was cool is Steve. So Steve, one of the newer folks into our community, I thought he was super cool. He's a contractor, upper Midwest, and he got his first deal, 39-unit deal. Most people think it's too complex, especially 39 units. That's a little larger than we normally try and get people going first off. But for a contractor, it wasn't too complex for him.
Super stoked for you. Everybody give Steve a clap. So 39 units, that was the Cleveland deal we were talking about. Yeah. How many stories is that thing?
It's 4 stories, a little over 40,000 square feet with 4,000 square feet of commercial space.
Right.
It's very challenging problem.
Is that the one you're getting the tax advantages on and all that stuff too?
Your tax, 100% tax abatement.
Yeah, so you can see for him, wasn't too complex. He figured it out. Cleveland is in Ohio, Bert. It's in Ohio. Then you got Brian. This is actually one of my favorites. I loved it. Owns a dog walking company in California. Okay. Realized he needed to invest out of state because California was too difficult and his money couldn't go very far. But has a dog walking company and just wanted to get started. First deal, 22 units in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa, Oklahoma, of all places. So this is really cool, his little deal. I love that. And then when you post on social media, when you actually close escrow, the day you close escrow, pretty sick. Oh, Bert, sorry about that. Downtown Cleveland in a opportunity zone. So you got a 100% tax abatement on that deal too. because the city wants a redevelopment on it. So it's pretty slick when he's talking about Steve on that 39 unit in Cleveland. I don't know the exact street on it offhand, but to give you an idea, so Brian, $47,000 out of pocket, $47,000 out of pocket, general partner, controlled the 22 unit, currently running it. The thing is about 96% occupied. They're doing quite well and getting the cash flows, raising rents and doing all that now. It was, I think, all but 4 units were renovated. All 4 units were renovated and occupied. So they went in and they're renovating the last few units and then raising the rents and getting the things to cash flow quite well. But that was Brian. Got Brian. So a question for everybody. Does anybody know who this gentleman is? Not some crazy expert when he got started. Bought his first investment property in 1990 while he was a freshman in college. No previous experience prior to that. No previous experience prior to that. So he jumped into it, right? He's one of many examples. Today, over $3 billion, 9,000 units in 5 states, regarded as one of the industry's greats. Ken McElroy. Randall, no, you do not. No, you do not. It's great if you have it, but no, you do not have to have your real estate license or get your real estate license to do multifamily. Unlike residential, multifamily is a commercial deal. So because of that, there's not really buyer's agents in the process as much. There's sometimes, but not that often. So you're really dealing directly to the brokers, the listing brokers. That's how you get the deals, right? We'll showcase that. We'll showcase that. Because there's really 2 ways you get deal, and we're going to touch on that here in just a few minutes, okay? But Ken McElroy. So once again, not a great expert, had no experience. Now you see where he's at today, right? 20 plus years later, right? He's where I want to be. So we're at 1,000 units and 180 plus million, 185 million in assets today. That's where our company's at. We want to get to 10,000 units. 10,000 units. So I want to beat Ken. Although he'll probably be double that by the time we get to where we want to go. So the question is, where do you want to go? I'm going to ask you before I move to the next slide. It's the end of 2025. It's December 31st, 2025. I want you to honestly, kind of an exercise. I mean, if you want to close your eyes for this, by all means. But what would it look like? What would 2025 look like in terms of awesomeness? If you had 1 10 to 30 unit, if you had 50 units, 30 units, 100 units, what would it be like if you could do it? What would it feel like if you could pull it off? Your first deal, somewhere between 10 to 50 units, and you pulled it off in 2025. What would that do for you? What would that feel like? Because that's what you need to envision for yourself, regardless of where you're at and where you want to go. And or if you have capital, don't have capital, whatever it is, what would that do for you and your family? What would it do for maybe people looking and admiring and looking up to you? Because a lot of times people feel like their family and friends don't look up to them, don't admire them, don't respect them. Would that add that to you? I'm just curious. It would be great. 50 doors. I love that, John. Amazing freedom knocking. Need 120 doors to leave 9 to 5. Yeah, to give you an example, Natasha, and great point on that. A lot of people that come into the community, they say, hey, I want to replace 10 to 20,000 a month in income. 10 to 20,000 a month in income. So how can I make that happen? I tell them 3 to 4 deals. 3 to 4 deals in the 10 to 30 unit space on average, for you in your pocket, 10 to 20,000 bucks, 3 to 4 deals. Okay, on average, depending on where you buy them, all that stuff. There's a lot of details in that, but 3 to 4 deals. And that can happen in a two-year window. So if you wanted a game plan from tonight on to say in 2 to 3 years from now, I want to exit my 9 to 5 and game plan that out to where adios, mother, you know what? Adios. 3 to 4 deals. It could be faster, it could be slower, but plan 2 to 3 years and you could completely exit your 9 to 5 and plan that out if that's something that you want, right? I was a realtor. Think in mind, I was a realtor for 10 years, selling properties along San Diego, Southern California, doing quite well, making good money. But I knew at the end of the day, I wanted to exit into the multifamily game. I always wanted real estate, whether it's flipping houses or buying apartment buildings. That's where I ultimately wanted to end up. And so it wasn't until I finally made the decision for myself and put my foot down and had enough bullshit pain where I'd seen enough happening with other friends and people I knew where I said, enough is enough. Let's go. And then you have to learn it, and then you have to go execute. You have to jump off the cliff and allow the how to show up. And you will show up because you have no choice. Your family's depending on you. Your kids, your family, your wife, your friends, everybody around you, they're depending on you. So you go make it happen. And I did. It took me 2 to 3 years to exit the realtor game by going in on this and make the determination for myself, and I made it happen. Everybody can do the exact same thing, whether it's a 9 to 5, whether you're a real estate agent went into transitioning, whether you're in wholesale and flipping and you want to exit out. I would say this, though. If you're in wholesaling and flipping and you want to do multifamily and you're on here tonight, you want to stay flipping, exit wholesaling, stay flipping, still do multifamily. You can do both of that. We do it today. We flip houses. That's transactional money every 3, 4, 5 months. Boom. Then you have the multifamily, which is bigger money, nice cash flow, right? A little slower, but it's the big kahuna game. So you play both games if you're flipping. So just for everybody that's flipping and wholesaling in here tonight, get rid of the wholesaling at some point, stay in the flipping, do multifamily. That's how you'll have the Holy Grail, okay? John Ward Harden, love it, exactly. Any reason 100 in 1 year couldn't be done? Well, yeah, we did 650 in a year, Bert, but it doesn't happen overnight. So if you already have some multifamily apartments, then yes, you can do 100 units in a year, not a problem. But if you're just now literally getting started or trying to get into your first deal, the way we teach it and guide everybody through is your first deal is 10 to 30 units, 10 to 30 unit deal. Your second unit's going to be somewhere in that 10 to 50 unit space. Once you've done 2 deals like that, the next level up is going to be somewhere between 50 and 100. But you got to walk before you run. There's no way in hell anyone on here tonight, if you don't have a partner who's already done this game, or you're not already in it with a resume yourself, you're doing anything larger than a 10 to 30 unit. Ain't going to happen. Brokers aren't going to talk to you. Sellers aren't going to talk to you. And the banks aren't going to talk to you because you have nothing to stand on. So you have to walk before you run. 10 to 30 units is the mom and pop space. It's still big enough to where you can bring money in. You can use the OPM game, but it's still mom and pop enough to where you're dealing with mom and pop brokers, mom and pop lenders, mom and pop sellers. So they expect you to be newer or newbie, which is why you don't need to be having some crazy resume or balance sheet. That's why it's critically important you start in that space. Anybody in here telling you to go big or go home on your first deals, they're smoking crack. Ain't going to happen. You have a better chance trying to break into the White House tonight than you do trying to land one of those 50-plus unit deals if you have not done it yourself already, or you do not have a partner who's done it already. Okay? So I just try and be very, very transparent with people because that's the real game. That's what people, maybe gurus online, don't want to tell you, but that's the truth of the truth. Okay? The truth of the truth. All right, so let's move on. Does anybody know any of these faces? I'm curious because none of them were experts when they started. None of them were experts when they started. Even Grant Cardone, who's got 15,000 units now. Like him or hate him, he's got 15,000 units. I can tell you how he started. It was right here in San Diego. Okay, so you got Grant Cardone there, apartment rock star, Robert Martinez, fabulous guy. Then on the left, you got, I don't know if you know Beardy Brandon with bigger pockets and owns his own stuff now, but Beardy Brandon, great guy. Ryan Pineda, all those guys. I mean, Carlos Reyes, huge flipper, massive industries, killer in the wholesaling and flipping game. Pretty cool dude. But none of them were experts when they got started. They started with nothing. So Grant Cardone, just so you guys know, born in Louisiana, did some house flips and rentals in Houston, then got into the car sales and car coaching business, as we all know. Maybe you don't, but that's the background. Moves into California, lives in San Diego, was living in La Jolla. This was late 90s, early 2000s. He walks across the street one day. He walks into a home that was waterfront, okay, right on the beach in La Jolla. Runs into a realtor who's getting ready to list that house for sale. He talks to her and convinces her to sell him the house. Pre-market with his partner, $4.2 million. They bought the house, turned it, flipped it for $9.4 million. $9 million and change, I think it was. I don't know the exact dollar. $9 million and change. Had a huge check. He says this was the first check with a lot of zeros in it that I got. A lot of zeros in one check. He didn't know what to do with the money. Started running into different people. Ended up running into a guy by the name of Rudy Medina. He was a broker, commercial broker with Marcus and Millichap at that time. Put the deals together. Rudy got him into his first 2 apartment complexes. One was a 30 unit in Point Loma in San Diego. Second one was a 48 unit in Vista, California in San Diego. Those were Grant Cardone's first 2 apartment complexes. Lo and behold, Rudy Medina happens to be my mentor, right? And I've known him since I was 8 years old. Didn't know all of this stuff until I got to really learn, but that's how it all started. And that's why I know this story. And then Grant Cardone went off into Arizona, and now Grant Cardone is Grant Cardone. And the story is what it is. But that's how it started. But he didn't even know a lick of multifamily, right? But he had people introduce him to it, and all he had was money. So remember what I said earlier? If you have the skill sets and the knowledge to go do this, you are extremely valuable to somebody with money. So fast back to that, Grant Cardone had the money, Rudy had the knowledge. Boom. Same thing can happen here. If you don't have money, but you have knowledge, you're extremely valuable. Extremely valuable. So that's very, very important. So deal with M&M. All right, let's keep going. So the belief pattern that multifamily is too complex and it's for experts only, it's not. It's not. You either bring the sweat equity or you bring the cash equity. I call it the check equity. So you bring one of the two. Remember, leading back to that, Grant Cardone brought in the cash equity. Rudy Medina brought the sweat equity. 2 deals, 30 unit, 48. Boom. Just like that. You can do the exact same thing if you have the skill sets and you don't have the money, or vice versa. Okay? Or vice versa. Now, belief, false belief number 3. That deals are hard to find and the market is oversaturated. The deals are hard to find, the market's oversaturated. We need to blow that out of the water. And there's 2 ways that we do that, because there's only 2 ways that you find deals. There's 2 ways on this planet you find deals. Direct to broker or direct to the owner. So now the question, how do you actually execute each of these methods? How do you get access to pre-market, off-market deals? Because we all know in here in the webinar tonight, those are the deals that make sense, right? Those are the deals that make sense. But how do we get access to them? So the deals are hard to find and the market's oversaturated. It is, but that's only if you do it alone, then the deals are hard. If you do it together, the deals are not that hard to find. You just need to understand how to leverage that game of direct to broker and direct to owner. And you need to have tools and resources to actually execute that game, okay? How do you find owners? We're going to show you tonight. So let's talk about the direct to broker approach first, and then we'll talk about the direct to owner. So what if you found a community of other investors doing deals around the United States where you could learn insider techniques to equip you with the skills to uncover off-market gems by using brokers in their on-market listings, where you could see deals that others miss, proving that the market is ripe with potential for prepared investors, and you don't have to do it alone. Okay, the key is understanding, how do I leverage the brokers on-market deals to get access to their pre-market, off-market inventory? Because they're the gatekeepers. They're holding everything. You just need access to it. How do you get that, especially if you're newer or a newbie? Okay, that's the game. It's no different than how I started. Fast back, I should say, to 2018. I'm getting ready to go into our first apartment complex of any size. It was 27 units in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm in California. Okay, I don't know Missouri, right? But what did I do? First thing I did, because I had a friend who was a broker locally there, so I reached out to him. He said, hey, you need to come out here. So I planned a 3-day trip. In the process of planning that trip, I got on Crexi.com. Does anybody know what Crexi is? Just like LoopNet, just an online marketplace. Crexi.com, Crexi.com, Crexi.com. Went on there, went into Kansas City, looked for 3 properties with 3 different brokers, and I made 3 different phone calls. And I said, hey, Mr. Broker, nice to meet you. I'm looking at such and such property, little small talk. I'm going to be out there in a week. I'd love to take a tour of the property. Did that with 3 different properties, set up my tours. Now I'm set for my reconnaissance. I fly out to Missouri and Kansas City for 3 days. I tour the market. I tour the areas. I meet the brokers. I tour the properties. None of those properties made financial sense. I knew I wasn't probably going to be buying those properties. That wasn't the point. The point was to leverage that broker because I know for every deal that I'm seeing on the websites, he's got 4 or 5 behind the scenes that are coming up. And if I can get in and get access to those emails and pre-market deals, that's how you start to build rapport and you start to see the pipeline flow. That's direct to broker approach. There's nuance to it. There's ways to do it correctly, things to say, things not to say. How do you execute? It's all fine. That's all in the detail. But just you understand from a high level how that gets executed. And that's how we took down our first 27 unit apartment complex out of state. So now let's talk about direct to owner. How do you get access direct to owner? Well, a couple ways. You can do bootleg garage style and guerrilla tactics and just go knock on your entire neighborhood. That's not, the most strategic approach. Or there are softwares that do this, okay? There are softwares that do this. So I used to use third-party softwares, and I said, screw this. We're going to go ahead and create our own. So we did. And now we have a software in place called realestateradar.ai, realestateradar.ai, that basically finds 160 million properties throughout the United States, all commercial properties, by the way, all multifamily. And we'll dive into each of them, overlay AI technology on top of it, and give you likelihood of that person selling in the next 12 months, and then have marketing techniques where you can reach out to them via text message, phone number, or direct mail. And then stay on them. Put them in a pipeline and follow up, follow up, follow up. And at some point, that person that owns that property is going to say, hey, I've been getting all your damn mailers. You've been texting and calling for 6 months. Yeah, I'm thinking about selling. Make me an offer. And that's how the direct to owner approach happens. But you need good data. I mean, we're in a technology phase between, big data and AI, and putting those two together. It's so much more efficient now than it was 5-10 years ago. Use the data, use the research, use the technology. It's all there. It's all there. Okay. So that's how we got into the direct to owner approach. So that's the 2 methods. That's how you find good deals. But if you're not leveraging either one of these, then you're probably going to think that deals are hard to find. The market's oversaturated and I can't find things that pencil. That's because you keep going on to LoopNet and Crexy in these websites, and all you're doing is getting leftovers, like literally leftovers. Because if you were to take 100 properties that are available for sale, 100 multifamily apartments that are available for sale, only 40 of those are on the websites. 60 of them are pre-market. You'll never see them, but they'll sell. And those are the ones that make sense. You just need to get access to them just like everybody else does in a pre-market phase before they ever hit the websites. Because once they're on the websites, they're overpriced. That's why they're there, because nobody bought them beforehand. Make sense? You just need to know how to execute the process. That's why you do these and you learn this process. There's a lot more nuance into this, but from a high level, this is how you execute it, okay? The false belief, I should say, that deals are hard to find and the market's oversaturated, it is if you do it alone. It is if you do it alone. But if you do it through community, if you do it through collaboration, and you know how to get access to those brokers in the pre-market phase, right? You need to do it together, because doing it together is how you win, right? You got to get rid of that belief pattern that they're too hard to find. Get into the belief pattern. You do it together, everybody wins. That's how you find the pre-market, direct to broker, and then direct to owner approach is through the software. Because here's the key, and this is what people don't fully understand. Single family is cool, right? You can do well in single family. I know a lot of people that do. You get monthly cash flows. There's profits from a sale or refi. That's all great. But what's cool about multifamily is you get all of that stuff too. Plus you're getting paid 5 to 8 different ways while you own the building. Did you know that? Because most people think I just get cash flow and profits. Did you know that all these other ways you get paid when you own multifamily? All the ways listed there, A through F. These are all ways you get paid at different stages throughout the ownership at different times. Some of them are coming monthly. Some of them are big pops. First one's the acquisition fee. That's like number one, day one, close escrow, boom, big chunk. Then you're getting asset management fees. This is different than property management. This is asset management, managing the managers. You're getting paid a fee every month to do that. Okay, so you're getting cash flow from that. Then you get tax benefits, massive tax benefits when you do this stuff. When you use bonus depreciation and you accelerate depreciation, of which we teach it all in grave detail on how to execute this. It's amazing. Finder's fee. Literally, we have people inside the community that literally just find deals. They don't want to do all the other stuff. They just want to find great deals. They want to bring them in and they want people to buy them from them. And they get paid a 1% to 2% fee on the price of it for doing that. So you can get a fee for finding great deals. construction management. If you're going to do renovations and you're going to manage that renovation process for your team who's going to be on site doing it, you can get paid a construction management fee, typically 5 to 8% of the hard cost. So there's all kinds of different fees and ways to get paid when you do multifamily. So you're getting paid very, very, very well. Notice in any of this stuff, I didn't talk about the cash flows or the profits or refinancing cash out. That's all added to it on top of it. Okay. It's all added to it on top of it. So I want to give you guys a case study, an actual case study. And this is a 31 unit that I did for myself, also in the Midwest. And I want to show you exactly how much money out of pocket, $19,000, how I executed it, what I got paid, how I got paid, and when I got paid, to show you the A to Z on how you would do the exact same thing. Fair enough? An actual case study. So this is a 31 unit called the Courtyards. We had purchased in Missouri as well. Did this several years ago. So let me break it down for you. We bought this thing for $1,525,000. We got a great deal on it. Okay. We renovated it. We put $400,000 in renovations into it. Closing costs about $225,000. We were all in at $2.1 million for a 31 unit deal. Okay. Now we went out and got a loan for about 70%, about $1.5 million and some change for the loan. Equity, we had about $645,000 in down payment equity we had to bring in to close the deal. This is how we brought it in. 10% came from me, about 64 grand. 90% of the money, the OPM game, came from 7 friends and family and investors on this particular deal. Okay, you could do seller financing. You can do private lending. You can do community. There's other ways to make money. Everybody wants to invest in real estate. You just need to have a deal that makes financial sense. Okay. So I also got an acquisition fee, right? It's fee number 1 on this deal, 45 grand. So my out of pocket, when we closed escrow, literally a week after closing escrow, I had $19,000 physically out of pocket into the deal, but I was earning money on my 64 that went in, the 64 that went in. Okay. So follow me. So here's what's cool. This is what I got paid on the deal. So 31 units, 24 months later, after we renovated the property, we went and we did a cash out refinance. We put a new loan on it because now the value was up at $3.6 million because we did all this great stuff to it, raised the rents, improved the property, did all this great stuff. So we pulled out $2.5 million. We paid off the $1.5 million loan that we had on it. We paid back all of our investors, all $645,000 that we had to bring in. We paid it back to all the investors. We also pocketed another $355,000 tax-free money. When you do a refinance, it's debt. So debt is tax-free, just so you all know in here. It's tax-free money, cash out. I was then getting paid an asset management fee of 1%. Then I was getting 40% of the cash flow, 40% of the profits. So it broke down like this, about $2,000 a month for 5 years straight, about 120 grand. Then my net profits from the sale were about 470,000. So I made 590 grand on a $19,000 out-of-pocket investment. And that is legit. And that is not crazy uncommon. You just need to understand this game of money and leveraging OPM with your money, some of your money, with other people's money to make this happen. And you need to have the skill sets and the knowledge to do it. And you got to get rid of the belief pattern you need a bunch of money. I've already shown you that's not the case. That you don't have to be an expert. Showing you that that's not the case. You just need to learn it. And then how to find good deals, we showed you that as well. Okay, we showed you that as well. So that's critically important. Okay, so how to buy a 10 to 30 unit in the next 90 days, $20,000 out of pocket. We showed you how to do that. I broke that down for you. The belief pattern that you need a lot of money. No, you don't. The belief pattern that multifamily is too complex, it's for experts only. No, it's not. The belief pattern that deals are hard to find and the market is oversaturated. No, it's not. You just need to have the systems and tools and ability to go execute and know how to do it. Know how to do it. And you can absolutely pull that off. Arnon, you'd asked, so you didn't give the investor any I'm confused. Arnon, you didn't give the investor any what? Any money? No, they're getting lots of money. They're getting 70% of the deal, 70% of the cash flow, 70% of the profits. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't show you like what they call a waterfall. I didn't show you that because I don't want to get into crazy complexity and blow everybody's head off tonight. But we could do that in high level detail. We can do that on other types of calls and detailed learning. Okay. Yes. Oh, commissions 5 to 8%? No. Commissions when you sell a property, typically 4 to 5. 4 to 5 when you sell your multifamily, correct? You don't get paid that, by the way. Your brokers would. You can get what's called a disposition fee, about 1% typically. Disposition fee. Not everybody does that, but that's for like another lesson. Okay.